Hey, 8th graders, hope all of you guys are doing well. We're going to be moving on in our study of the solar system to non-planetary objects. We talked about last video about the fact that Pluto is not considered a planet, but a dwarf planet. That's going to be one of the first things we're going to talk about in this section. First, let's go ahead and define what a dwarf planet is. It is going to be anything that orbits the sun. They are either rigid or can be nearly spherical. They can share their orbits with other bodies. That is because they lack a sufficient gravity to clear other objects from its orbit, as well as they are not considered moons. So let's talk about our most known dwarf planet, which is Pluto. Percival Lowell, a wealthy American businessman and astronomer, built his own observatory in order to search for another large planet just like Neptune that people had suspected that was farther out from Neptune's orbit. He died before being able to find the planet itself. In 1929, a young astronomer named Clyde Trumbull joined the observatory staff, and by accident, he discovered a moving speck on a photographic plates near where Lowell would estimate where planet X should be located. They later named the planet Pluto. But Pluto was a little bit of an oddball compared to the other planets. Its orbit was more elliptical than the other planets. Its perihelion was going to be closer to the Sun than Neptune's. It forms a binary, or what we call a double planet, with its largest moon, Charon, which is about half its size. Later on, after the discovery of Pluto, more distant objects were discovered, or more dwarf planets like Eris, Ceres, Makemake, and a few others as well. Let's move on to solar system bodies, smaller solar system bodies, or SSB. Right, we're going to move on to our largest of the smaller solar system bodies, and those are asteroids. They're going to range in size from a house to a third of the moon. They have weak gravity. Their shapes are going to be kind of odd. They don't have a specific shape. Most of them look like lumpy potatoes, though. They have an irregular composition, which means they aren't going to have the same composition for each one. Many are not going to be solid rock, but a loose collection of boulders covered in gravel and dust as they go throughout space. Most of them are actually going to be located in an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. This is going to separate the inner from the outer planets, or the terrestrial from the Jovian planets. They are going to be members of two families. They are either the Trojans or the Greek asteroid families. There are three families that exist near Earth. We call those near-Earth asteroids. And the collision with the asteroids from Earth is very unlikely because of the pull of gravity, and they usually stay inside their paths. Then we have comets, which are going to be a smaller solar system body that orbits the sun. They are often called dirty snowballs because they are made of different types of ices, like carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, and a few others as well, and are covered with a layer of gravel and dust. When a comet's orbit takes it closer to the sun, the ice is going to sublimate. Sublimate means it goes from a solid to a gas with skipping that liquid state. And then it blows off as gas, and it carries bits of rock and dust with it as it goes. So as comets get closer to the sun, they're actually going to be losing some of the parts of the comet because it's going to sublimate and the comet will get smaller. With comets, they have two parts, the head and the tail. The head is going to include the nucleus and the coma. The nucleus is going to be the solid part, and the coma is going to be the gaseous envelope that surrounds the nucleus. Then they have the tail that is going to be those bright lights that come off of it that seems to trail behind. Ancient people thought that they were considered supernatural visitors, that either one of the gods or somebody in their mythology was coming to visit them every so often. Edmund Halley was the first person to treat comets as ordinary celestial objects. He thought that they appeared at periodical times and then came back and went away. He developed a theory that at least one bright comet had appeared regularly for centuries. This led to the discovery of many periodic comets. Halley's Comet was actually named in his honor, and the next appearance of Halley's Comet should be in 2061. Then we have what are called meteoroids, meteors, and meteorites. Meteoroids are going to be exactly identical to asteroid except for in size. They're going to be a little smaller. Meteoroids are going to be found in space. Meteors are what we call shooting stars. Those are meteoroids that have entered our atmosphere. Most of them are going to be burnt up inside the atmosphere before it reaches the Earth's surface. But if it reaches the Earth's surface, we call it a meteorite, as you can see in the little picture down here. Going through the atmospheres, meteor and meteorite hits the surface. All right, that is all for this chapter. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Also, make sure you guys are getting all of your work in. Have a great day, guys.